the trade
The trade.
that, got him waived. So,
So we're gonna talk about Kyrie or KD. I'm just joking.
or Westbrook.
Or five
Westbrook.
second round picks.
Yeah, honestly.
Okay, so Vladimir Tarasenko, one of my favorite players, is now a member of the New York Rangers. Biggest trade of the week, fair to say.
Mm-hmm.
The trade is to the New York Rangers.
In hockey, yes.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, no, different sports.
Not in the city of New York.
Alex, this is a hockey podcast. Oh yeah, no, not even in the city of New York. This is true. Well, no,
The
they're not
state,
in
sorry.
New Jersey, technically, aren't they?
No, they're in Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.
Oh, okay, that doesn't even. Okay,
in the state of New York.
The state. I hate that. Okay, listen. Vladimir Tarasenko and Nico Mikkola, the thug on ice, we can call him, goes to the New York Rangers. In exchange, St. Louis will receive a conditional 2023 first round pick. It will be the later of either New York's or Dallas's pick. Obviously, the Dallas pick is from the Nils Lundqvist trade, if anyone doesn't remember. Defensive prospect I've never heard of named Hunter Skinner. And they also get a conditional 2024 fourth round pick. The Blues retain half the salary. And, oh, yeah, they also get Sammy Blais back. So that trade was the Buchnevich trade comes full circle. Mm-hmm. Anyway, Tarasenko did score in his first game with the Rangers, by the way.
Great
What
goal.
do you think of the trade? For the Rangers, first off. We'll go to St. Louis in a second because I have a theory.
First off, I'm disappointed you don't know Hunter Skinner. You clearly haven't played too much GM mode in NHL. I just want to say. I just want to point that out. From a Rangers
Hogwarts Legacy.
Yeah. From a Rangers perspective, I mean, does it not fit exactly what they need? Like I don't. If they were worried about Kane and his hip injury, I think
we'll get to that.
Vladimir Tarasenko was the second fit. Again, I was the guy on the show a couple weeks ago who suggested Timo Meier. Still be on the train for that, but whatever. I think it was a good deal, like for the Rangers in terms of what they're looking for. He literally scored a goal in his first game, and then last night Artemi Panarin had 4 goals. So I think it's working.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I think so. When we mentioned Patrick Kane, I'm just gonna say it quick, but I think Tarasenko is someone that is at a different level in terms of where they are in terms of how they bounce back from an injury. If they're going to have concern about the hip for Patrick Kane, I think Tarasenko is a perfect example of we have a better idea what we're getting a guy post-surgery, post-long-term injury. And I think it just kind of was what the Rangers needed. We always talked about how they had so much potential from their wingers to score, but I just wasn't seeing what I wanted to see from their former top picks. So getting Tarasenko there now kind of shows that they are being serious about making another run, whether it's going to be the Eastern Conference Finals, Stanley Cup Finals, maybe. And they didn't give a whole lot for it. I think it was great because I think Frank Saravelli is the one who mentioned is that the Rangers are one of those rare teams that we could consider them a contender, and they had multiple first round picks. Mm-hmm. So there's no risk here. I think, if you're going to look at Nils Lundqvist and assets becoming Tarasenko, then I think it's a solid deal.
Listen, I mean, you look at, I think on D, it's safe to say the Rangers are set, and that's why Lundqvist wanted out, right? Their D is already, beside Adam Fox being probably Erik Karlsson's best competitor for the Norris Trophy this year, it's just a murderer's row. I mean, Trouba has become the new Dustin Byfuglien. Keandre Miller's had a fantastic season, offensively picking it up too. And then just adding, obviously, the goaltending. Halak's been won like 7 straight as a backup. Shesterkin. The kid line has been good, apparently, from what I understand. I don't watch a lot of Rangers hockey, but it's been doing its thing. So I don't know who's been normally on that top line, if whether it's like they've juggled with like Jimmy Vesey and that. They have the depth. So getting a guy who we know is capable of 40 goals like Tarasenko, I'll take, obviously he's been down this year, but the Blues have been a mess. And I think you can count a lot more in Tarasenko then. it feels like is the ghost of Patrick Kane. And this is where we can go to Patrick Kane. I think it's safe to say. And so, before we do actually, Daniel, you mentioned they didn't give up a lot. Okay. Call me crazy here, guys, but I am wondering if this is what the value of a 2023 pick is. And we don't see a better prospect or something going the other way because this is what teams are valuing these first rounders this year. Am I crazy? Or is it that Tarasenko, we knew he wanted out, he wasn't going to stay, and the value wasn't quite there if you're another team?
I think that's fair because we looked at last year and what was the price of the Rangers' first round pick? It was Andrew Cobb.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
I know that was conditional, but I think jumping on this a bit earlier and seeing what you can get in what might be one of the most, talented drafts in the last few years, I think you go for it if you're St. Louis. I don't know if they're going to do a retool, what they're going to do with the other contracts, because we're going to talk about Ryan O'Reilly for sure in the next few weeks. And
yep.
I like that point you did give up. You did give that maybe there is a lot more to value towards these first round picks.
I think it depends on how deep you think this draft is. Like, I know the top 10 is ridiculous, but I feel like we have this conversation every year where it's like teams don't say they don't want to give up their first round pick and then end up giving up their first round pick unless you're in Toronto. Then that doesn't happen because Nick Foligno absolutely screwed everything up. I think it's a mix of. I think it's a mix of both. Like, I don't know. I could see where you're coming from, like the value of that first round pick being more, but at the same time, like you're getting Tarasenko's not re-signing, right? In New York. Everyone kind of has that understanding, right?
No, it's worst kept secret in St. Louis.
Like, but no, he's not re-signing in New York either.
Oh yeah, no,
and he's not re-signing in St. Louis. Like, it's just, I don't think the value was as high. Listen, if you're trading Tarasenko in the summer versus trading Tarasenko now, I think the value is definitely completely different.
Oh yeah, who in the summer you're probably only going to get like a fourth for his signing rights, probably, right?
No, last summer.
Oh, last summer. Okay.
Last summer, yeah.
Okay, so Patrick Kane, we've danced around it. This is Emily Kaplan on Twitter. According to sources, the Rangers targeted Tarasenko, a player they long coveted, and decided to go for it after feeling the asking price for Timo Meier and Patrick Kane were too high. Also sounds like New York had some concerns over Kane's hip injury. It doesn't sound like the Rangers got to asking price point of discussions with Blackhawks because ball is still in Patrick Kane's court coming to Chicago with what he wants to do. But the Rangers didn't want to wait on him and also had concerns about his hip. Okay, so it's more about I want to talk about how I'm annoyed with Patrick Kane because we got to get to this other stuff from Charlie. I'm gonna try and say this guy's name. Rome Leotis. Yes, sorry, man. Patrick Kane of Vladimir Tarasenko's trade to the Rangers. Quote, "It's not like the happiest I've been to hear about a trade. I think the Rangers are a team that you definitely pay attention to and are definitely intrigued by for obvious reasons." And then him, if he had the Rangers on his radar. If things were going to happen, that was the team I was definitely looking at. It seems like they kind of filled their void and went ahead and made a deal. So it is what it is. And then he was asked about if his hip injury is overblown. He said, "Yeah, I think so. I'm not sure what the story is, to be honest with you, but I feel better than I did last year." It's just one of those things that maybe the story leaks out and it piles up a bit. And then one more thing, says he expects to make a decision within the next 10 days about his future. Obviously, you want to do right by the franchise and the organization here. They've been amazing to me and all this kind of gobbledygook. Wants to do the best for both sides. Okay. First off, I want to make clear, I'm not upset that Patrick Kane was honest with us. I love that. That's one of the best Patrick Kane quotes I've ever seen. But I am still going to now rip Patrick Kane. Listen, man, the longer you wait, the more chance that moves are going to get made. And I don't think he's ever going to go out and be public about a hip injury because then that just gives even more free reign for people to go after you on the ice, even though they probably already are right now. Man, 10 days before the deadline isn't a lot of time. That's all I'm going to say, man.
Mhm.
If you want to go, you got to make it up, man. I get it's a difficult decision for him, but at the same time, I don't think anyone has any sympathy for Patrick Kane anymore, given what
Sure.
happened
But
lately.
what's the worst case here? Like
He ends up,
this isn't a Patrick Kane problem. This is a
yeah,
Chicago Black. No, it's not. He doesn't want to leave. This is a Chicago Blackhawks problem that they haven't. That he wants to be a Blackhawk. The whole we've spent the last 6 months talking since they traded DeBrincat and Kirby Doc about how look, man, Jonathan Tace had a interview last year where he's like, I don't know if we're rebuilding. I'm like, dude, you might be rebuilding, and how he wants to stay in Chicago. Kane says the same thing. This is a Chicago Blackhawks problem. What's the worst case for Patrick Kane is he plays out the season with the Blackhawks. He may or may not re-sign there, and they may or may not have Connor Bedard next year. This is not a Patrick Kane problem. This is a Chicago Blackhawks problem if they can't get assets from him because neither of them want to move.
he wanted to be a Ranger, though.
He say, I don't, but he also has said consistently, both him and Taze have said consistently that they would love to be Blackhawks throughout the season. They've said that if he wanted to be a Ranger, he would have made that decision now. I think the quote is just honest. I don't like this. I don't think this is a Patrick Kane problem personally.
Daniel?
I don't know. I think he's a conflicted guy. I think that we could see the Patrick Kane of the Chicago legacy affecting, clouding things, but that we also see the competitive nature that we see with these players is this guy hasn't been in a winning situation in a long time, in a really long time. And I think he's looking at what the options are now, especially his contract, where he is in his age, what he can do to a team, how he's still playing right now. And I think the first thing I mentioned, you're going to have to try to just not think about that because, other legends have been traded before. Other, well-known guys have been traded before. And I think the Blackhawks are a team that, yeah, like I know it's a very, very different level with Taves and Kane, but others have been traded before. Duncan Keith was traded. Brent Seabrook was technically traded. In the off season, the guys that we thought were going to be the builders of the next Chicago team, what it may look like, are all gone. Dylan Strome, Dominic Kubalik, Alex DeBrincat, Kirby Doc. So I think it's just all about business. I think the Blackhawks are really trying to get what they want out of Patrick Kane as much as they want, but for me, it just doesn't make sense. Like I think the ball is in the Blackhawks court that they just have to make a decision right now, whether or not Patrick Kane says something like that.
Does he have a full no move?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh god. Okay.